Hey, what's up everyone, welcome to The Bachelor latest news. The Bachelor's Grant Ellis is deciding between his final two women, but a declaration of love for one woman may seriously hinder his chances with another. Grant was presented with 25 contestants in his season. While eliminations have been difficult for the lead, he has led with love and whittled his selection down to 3 women: Litia, Garr, Juliana Pasquarosa, and Zo McGrady. Following the overnight dates, Grant eliminated Zo, leaving Juliana and Litia standing. Grant has strengthened his relationship with these women throughout The Bachelor Season 29, but this final decision has proven challenging. However, during his overnight date with Litia, Grant professed his love. Now, Grant is wondering whether he jumped the gun. If Grant was unsure which woman to choose, he shouldn't have used the word love. This comment could change Juliana's impression of him and their relationship. Grant blurted out the L word on his date with Litia, but almost immediately regretted using such a strong expression. The lead also revealed that he has only used the word love twice in his life, making the comment all the more significant. This comment may have alluded to a guaranteed win. His profession was highly validating for the frontrunner. Grant started to second-guess this comment after the words had come out. The lead undoubtedly feels a strong connection to Litia, but still doesn't know who his final choice will be. In retrospect, he commented that this profession should not have happened while other women were in contention, especially since Grant may love Juliana. Grant commented, "If Litia were to repeat this comment to Juliana, she may be devastated." Grant hasn't used the same language with the latter. Grant may regret making such validating comments to both women because no matter his ultimate choice, somebody will be shattered. Juliana feels assured Grant sees a future with her. Even if she wins and is proposed to, she may still be left with the sneaking suspicion that Grant loves another woman. He did profess his feelings after all. This lingering uncertainty could wreak havoc on their potential relationship. Although he's unsure of his final choice, Grant seems to love both of the women. His strong connection with the final contenders bodes well for his future. Grant entered the competition to find a wife and the mother of his future children. He is left with 2 women who are eager to fulfill these dreams. Grant should not have professed his love for Litia if he was still unsure. This profession may do more damage than good, considering he harbors equally strong feelings for Juliana. No matter who the Bachelor chooses, he will have some explaining to do. Fortunately, both women have been understanding during this challenging process. After a slow progression on The Bachelor Season 29, Grant Ellis is finally beginning to envision a future with one of the contestants. Grant's season got off to a disappointing start that left viewers wondering if he was capable of a deep connection. The day trader and former professional basketball player has enjoyed a series of successful one-on-one dates, but none of his experiences with the women stood out. Grant's connections felt shallow and at times artificial, raising concerns that he would never develop strong feelings for anybody. Without passionate romance, The Bachelor Season 29 has centered around drama between the women. Tensions rose early in the season after Zo McGrady continuously stole Grant, taking time away from the other contestants. Criticism soon shifted to Carolina Quixano, who voiced doubts about her feelings for Grant. Carolina's indifference incensed the other women, particularly those who hadn't had the luxury of solo time with him. As the pool of contestants grew smaller, the rivalry became overwhelming as Grant struggled to focus on his search for a wife. Before hometowns, Grant's one-on-one date with Juliana Pasquarosa marked a turning point in The Bachelor Season 29. During the couple's elegant evening at a Scottish castle, Grant admitted he was falling in love with Juliana. While Grant has had positive things to say about all the women, his experience with Juliana demonstrated his first sign of progression toward love. For her part, Juliana was swept up in the romance and called the night a fairy tale. Juliana and Grant's conversation over dinner was integral to the progression of their romance. Juliana shared her trauma related to having a loved one with addiction, which is something Grant experienced as well. In addition to having similar backgrounds, Grant and Juliana spoke about having similar coping mechanisms, each tending to retreat inward. Juliana's background sets her apart from the other women as her history and personality are compatible with Grant's. He ended the night by admitting he could see Juliana as his wife. As Grant was falling hard for Juliana, he was mitigating the frustrations the women felt towards Carolina. The conflict began when Juliana filled Grant in on the negative things Carolina had said about him after their date. When Grant confronted Carolina, she didn't deny her statements but confirmed she was unsure of her feelings. The conversation paved the way for a particularly tense rose ceremony. During the group date in Scotland, Carolina sulked on the sidelines until Grant whisked her away for a private conversation. The women were fed up, noting a pattern of Carolina constantly demanding attention. Grant and Carolina's discussion revealed that despite his frustration with the drama, he still had strong feelings for her. He appeared genuine in his efforts to reassure her, even as knowledge of her statements about him undoubtedly lingered in the back of his mind. The conversation paved the way for a particularly tense rose ceremony. Despite his affection for Carolina, Grant ultimately eliminated her. His desire to make their relationship work wasn't strong enough to ignore her lack of commitment. Juliana had been the first to raise the alarm about Carolina, and Grant's difficult decision to eliminate her proved how much credibility he gave Juliana. Furthermore, Carolina's elimination confirms that Grant knows he can find an even better match, a conclusion his date with Juliana likely helped him reach. While Grant and Juliana's romance is promising, many hurdles could arise before the final rose ceremony. Soon after claiming he was falling in love with Juliana, Grant said the same thing about Litia after their one-on-one date. While his feelings for Juliana are progressing, Grant could be getting swept up in the excitement of the final weeks as his feelings grow for the remaining contestants. The trailer for The Bachelor Season 29 confirms that Grant's indecision will continue to haunt him as the finale approaches. The sneak peek shows Grant still having doubts just moments before the final rose ceremony. His strong feelings for Juliana certainly give her a competitive advantage, but anything could happen over the next few weeks. Grant's date with Juliana sets her apart from the other women, but if he's too indecisive to trust his heart, he could risk ending up alone. The Bachelor's Grant Ellis sent 27-year-old tech engineer and model Zo McGrady home on the latest episode, and I'm shocked it didn't happen sooner. This season, Grant's been accused of being too nice to be on The Bachelor Season 29 and of misleading the contestants while having no intention of choosing them in the end. Grant, 31, narrowed down his search to Zo, 28-year-old client services associate Juliana Pasquarosa, and 31-year-old venture capitalist Litia Garr, before sending Zo packing in the Dominican Republic. Grant claimed sending Zo home was hard, but didn't really give her any reasons for her departure. In my opinion, Grant struggled to have major chemistry with anyone since he sent Carolina Sofia home. I'm convinced Carolina was the only person Grant actually felt a deep connection with, but he got scared of all of her antics with the other women and chose to eliminate her just before hometown dates. Zo and Grant had a friendly back and forth, but it never went beyond that, in my opinion. I'm honestly surprised that Zo made it as far as she did. Despite staying in the fantasy suite with Zo and Juliana, Grant still felt his connection with her wasn't strong enough to pick her in the end. Zo was very guarded throughout the entire season. She stirred up a little drama by stealing Grant away from the other women at inopportune times, but it felt like Zo was doing it to make an impression on Grant, rather than genuinely wanting to spend more time with him and explore their connection. Zo's competitive nature surged during her Bachelor journey. Whether it was beating the other girls at basketball, trying to ride a mechanical bull for the longest amount of time, or pulling the classic, "Can I steal him for a second" move that The Bachelor is famous for, Zo ruffled some feathers. However, she failed to show Grant she could get deep with him. She wasn't as showy as the other women, so she didn't create a spectacle. Instead, she quietly managed to make it through each week. It was only a matter of time before she had to go home. In fact, the only time I saw a fire in Zo's eyes was when she was competing for something. She brushed off the other women's complaints by claiming she was here to shoot her shot, not make friends with all the ladies. I think Zo lacked some of the warmth that Grant wants. I'm not saying women need to be warm, but I think that's what Grant's looking for in a partner. I don't blame Zo for being guarded, since it's tough to be vulnerable with someone who's actively dating other women. I wish Grant had declined the fantasy suite with Zo, because sending her home after spending the night with her is downright cruel. Zo definitely wasn't as warm and inviting as the other women, failing to create solid friendships while she was on the show. She came in hot, letting everyone know getting to know Grant was her priority. Grant seemed to appreciate Zo, but as the show progressed, Zo got less and less one-on-one time with him. She expressed her fear about not having as much time with Grant to Rachel Nance, a contestant from Joey Graziadis's season of The Bachelor, who came to the Dominican Republic to help guide Zo as she navigated making it to the bottom three. I think it wasn't just the lack of one-on-one time with Grant that held Zo back. It was the lack of chemistry between the two. Zo opened up to Grant about how her childhood, raised by adoptive white parents in the South, impacted who she is today, and Grant seemed receptive to it. But then later on, Grant blames the stall in his relationship with Zo on her, saying she wasn't opening up enough for him. Honestly, Zo, this guy ain't it, and you're better off without him. My theory is that all the other contestants were intimidated by Grant's connection with Carolina, and the way the show became all about her. A lot of them backed off of Grant, since he clearly favored Carolina, and Zo, who was already so guarded, got even more closed off towards Grant. By the time he sent Carolina home, Zo struggled to make up for lost time, and it was too little, too late in the end. Now that Grant's down to his final two, Juliana and Litia, he doesn't have any distractions. I agree with critics that Grant has struggled this season. He was careful to preserve his good guy image, so he failed to take a definitive stance on the women, which led some to feel misled after he eliminated them. To be honest, I don't think he has electric chemistry with any of the remaining finalists. While he spent the night in the show's famed fantasy suite with Juliana, I don't think he'll stay with her over Litia, who declined the fantasy suite. If I had to make a choice right now, I'd guess Grant is going to choose Litia to be his fiancée, just because he's seen a tender side of her. I think Grant knows Litia would make a good wife and mother, and he said he wanted to find that type of partner. Now, I don't think they'll end up actually getting married, but I do think Litia will win. I think Grant might spin the block on Carolina eventually, which would be very entertaining. Grant and Carolina had the most chemistry this entire season. It popped off the screen. Grant had to send her home, but I think he regrets it. Zo managed to slip by each week, but she knew that she had the weakest connection with Grant. She openly expressed it to the other women, and to Grant himself, but it couldn't save her from all the time she lost when Grant was preoccupied with Carolina. Zo could not have been surprised to have been sent home. The writing was on the wall, and Zo's time was up. Zo McGrady has been playing the victim since she was eliminated from The Bachelor Season 29, but I don't think her complaints make sense. Her fantasy suite date was more intimate than anyone else's, and when she was sent home, it was the least surprising move of the season. Zo never had a chance to win, so she shouldn't be complaining now. Zo struggled to make a connection with Grant, but she also struggled to connect with the rest of the Bachelor Season 29 cast. She put a bad taste in the other women's mouths with her actions during group dates and cocktail parties, and the women made their feelings about Zo known with their comments. However, Carolina Sofia Quixano quickly took over the villain role, giving Zo a break and a chance to show her softer side. Unfortunately, Grant was not her soulmate, no matter how she may have felt. In her Instagram story, Zo expressed her disappointment and frustration with her final date, alleging producer interference. For the fantasy suite date, Zo and Grant participated in silent yoga. The silence was enforced, even as Grant tried to whisper to Zo. Zo's frustration with her date was understandable to some extent. Zo was the only woman who made it to fantasy suites without getting a dedicated one-on-one date. Her only solo time with Grant was when she stole him during group dates and cocktail parties, as well as during her hometown date. Because Zo never got a one-on-one date, she hoped to have some serious conversations with Grant, such as what their future together would look like and how they would raise their kids. Silent yoga was not conducive to this desire. Was Zo right to complain about her date activity, given her journey on The Bachelor? Not really. Plus, none of the fantasy suite dates lent themselves to deep conversations. Juliana Pasquarosa's date involved off-roading, which was full of giggles but not many serious topics. Litia, Garr, and Grant went ziplining, which meant they separately flew over the trees without each other, unable to speak while participating in the activity. Zo's date was by far the most intimate, something she should be grateful for. The producers didn't do her dirty with that specific date. Zo is probably trying to stir the pot and create more drama since she was eliminated. Zo was never likely to win the ABC dating show after she made it to hometowns without a one-on-one date. Had she won, she would have been the first contestant in the history of The Bachelor to accomplish such a feat. Zo and Grant's connection clearly wasn't as strong as his connections with the other women, and a different fantasy suite date wouldn't have changed that. Zo got an early villain edit after she pulled Grant aside during a basketball-themed group date. The impromptu one-on-one time seemed short on TV, but during the Women Tell All special, Beverly Ortega revealed Zo and Grant were gone for an hour. At the moment, Zo didn't apologize or seem to care it affected the other women's time. From there, it was hard for Zo to get back into the women's good graces. In Zo's defense, she had every right to take time with Grant where she could get it. While the rest of the women were understandably mad at Zo, they should also have put some blame on Grant. Grant could have declined Zo's invitation during the basketball date or cut the one-on-one interaction short. Grant refused to take accountability for his actions for much of the season, making him a divisive lead. However, Zo shouldn't play the victim when she stole extra time with Grant during the first group date. Zo used her conflict with the other women to connect with Grant. She heard The Bachelor's Serafina Watkins make a snippy remark about the length of her dress, and Zo immediately complained to Grant. Grant and Zo grew closer because of the moment and his response. He gave her a pep talk, saying, "If being you offends other people, you shouldn't stop." Their connection felt stronger after that moment, but not strong enough. Zo had every reason to complain about not getting a one-on-one date. She felt a connection with Grant, but he couldn't have felt the same way if he didn't want to spend dedicated time together. I'm a little surprised Zo didn't self-eliminate when it was clear she wasn't getting a special date. While she may not have gotten a one-on-one date on The Bachelor, Zo got plenty of time with Grant. Between the cocktail parties, group dates, and pulling Grant aside, Zo made her mark. Her gameplay was enough to get her to both hometowns and fantasy suites, where she got even more time with Grant. Plus, her lack of a one-on-one date should have been a strong indication that Zo and Grant weren't going to end up together. More time wouldn't have made a difference in Zo's journey on the show. Grant has made some questionable eliminations on his season of The Bachelor. Rose Somke self-eliminated after the intense drama between her and Carolina, and Grant didn't try to stop her or encourage her to stay. The drama was partially his fault, and he should have fought for Rose, considering their instant connection. Before hometowns, Grant eliminated Alex Godin, the first impression Rose recipient and the first woman he took on a one-on-one date. Zo skated by even though Grant hadn't given her a special day. It's hard to believe Grant had more of a connection with Zo, someone he chose not to take on a one-on-one date, than with Alex, someone he connected with night one. Grant's journey on The Bachelor is just that, his journey. If Zo wasn't the person he wanted to spend the rest of his life, he was right to send her home. At this point, it's impossible to say if Grant gets engaged at the final rose ceremony, or if he's still in a relationship today. But he and Zo weren't a perfect match. Zo's victim act doesn't make sense, given the events of the season. Then give your opinion in the comment box, and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.